Well, good Monday afternoon, Gibson friends, and anyone else who might be watching this video. I don't know if you can tell where I am. I'm sitting on the lawn in one of the Adirondack chairs in front of Pillar Church, one of the most beautiful churches in town, I think. And I'm thinking about that in light of our story that I want to share with you briefly today. Each day this week, in the middle of what is an unusual and a strange feeling kind of season for us, even during this Passion Week, I want to send you daily, brief 5-minute videos that might be able to encourage you and help you as we take our final steps to the cross and eventually to the empty tomb on Sunday. And I'm going to be following God's big Easter story, that devotional, that family devotional that I shared last week with you. And I really would encourage you, whether you've got kids at home and children, or whether you're a senior citizen, a senior saint, by all means, take advantage of that, download that, print it out, look at it online if you want to. But it's a brief little devotional exercise each day that will help you, again, to trace these final steps to the cross and eventually to the tomb. And so today's story focused in Matthew 21. Matthew chapter 21, 12 through 17 is the full passage. And it's the story of Jesus throwing out the money changers out of the temple once he comes into Jerusalem. But I want to focus in just on a couple of verses that struck me as I was reflecting on that. And it's verses 14 through 17. The blind and the lame came to Jesus at the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the teachers of the law saw the wonderful things he did, and the children shouting in the temple courts, "Hosanna to the Son of David," they were indignant. "Do you hear what these children are saying?" they asked him. "Yes," replied Jesus. "Have you never read, 'From the lips of children and infants, you, Lord, have called forth your praise'?" And he left them and went out of the city to Bethany, where he spent the night. Anytime Jesus interacts with children, I just love how he does that. Remember a time before when children were all gathered around him and the disciples and others were trying to shoo them away, and Jesus said, "No, let the little children come." Jesus must have loved children. He just must have. And in this scene here, we see the religious leaders looking for ways to trip Jesus up, and they hear the children, even in the face of Jesus, doing remarkable, wonderful things, healing the blind and the lame. And the children are shouting, "Hosanna! Lord, save us," in the face of seeing what Jesus has done. They got it. Hosanna. And the religious leaders, not at all. Instead, they criticized Jesus and they scoffed at those children. Don't they know children are supposed to be seen and not heard? They should know their place. And Jesus says, "Nope, that's not how it is. Haven't you heard it said that from the lips of children and infants, the Lord brings forth praise?" There's something about being a child, isn't there, that allows us to come to Jesus with an openness and a receptivity that perhaps we've become a little jaded the older we get. Maybe it's because we've been hurt. Maybe it's because we've been burned by other people, by relationships we've been in that we thought were loving and good. And we lose our capacity to respond with such openness, such tenderness, such joy and gladness. I remember when my kids were young, if you've had children, do you remember that too? That it hardly takes much at all. When I would come home from school in the afternoon, and after a day being gone, and the kids were toddlers at home, I would hear their shouts from behind the door inside the house, "Daddy's home!" And they would greet me, and they would grab onto my legs, and we would hug, and we would play, and I would get on the floor with them, and there was just a joy and a glee that came in that relationship. They were just children, happy to see their daddy. And then as they got even a little bit older and we would go traveling and we would see new things, it was always an opportunity for me or for Carrie to share something new with them, to teach them something, to tell them a new story, to tell them a new joke that they hadn't heard before. And there would be laughter, and there would be a receptivity, and there would be a openness, and again, just a willingness to enter into a loving relationship with a parent that they trusted, that they believed, that they knew loved them more than anything else. And I think, again, Jesus invites us into that kind of a relationship with him. And as even we walk these last steps and we are reminded of all that Jesus did for us, may we hear and may we feel like a child without the scars of loves that have let us down in the past. May we receive Jesus' love, what he does for you and me, for all who love and trust him. Receive the love that Jesus demonstrates to the cross, and then again at the empty tomb. So it's my prayer that all of us will be able to experience this story, the wonder and the joy and the awe of this story with that kind of childlikeness this year. Maybe in a fresh way, because there's so much in the world around us today that would say, don't believe it. Don't trust it. Don't you see the pain? Haven't you seen the news? Jesus understands that. But it's in that he enters and he tells us how much he loves us and cares for us. So be like those little children. Hosanna. Friends, that's all for now. I'll see you again tomorrow. And I pray that Jesus will continue by his Spirit to draw you closer and closer to himself each day as we approach the cross and that empty tomb. As always, grace and peace, friends. Until next time, so long.